Hello there! Today, we're revealing the hidden recipes that supercharge your garden's soil with beneficial life. Follow along as we brew 3 powerful fermented compost teas that will transform your plants from surviving to thriving. Before we get to the recipes, let's talk about the building blocks. Getting these basics right is the key to brewing a potent, microbe-rich tea. First, and this is a big one, is your water. You have to use non-chlorinated water. Chlorine is put in city water to kill microorganisms, which is the exact opposite of what we're trying to do. Rainwater or well water are perfect. If you only have tap water, no problem. Just let it sit out in an open bucket for 24 hours so the chlorine can evaporate. Next, the heart of your tea, the compost. This is where your starting population of microbes comes from. You want to use high-quality, fully finished compost that smells rich and earthy, like a forest floor. If you have a worm bin, vermicompost, or worm castings, is the gold standard. It's often packed with an even higher concentration of beneficial microbes. Third, we need food for our microbes. We aren't just extracting them, we're actively breeding them so their populations explode. The 2 best foods are unsulfured molasses and liquid kelp or fish emulsion. Molasses is a simple sugar that gives bacteria a quick energy boost. Kelp and fish products offer more complex nutrients that help cultivate beneficial fungi, giving you a more balanced brew. Finally, for our aerated teas, you just need a simple setup. A 5-gallon bucket, a mesh bag, a paint strainer, or even an old pillowcase works great, and a basic aquarium pump with an air stone. That's it. You don't need some expensive commercial brewer to make amazing compost tea. Alright, let's get our hands dirty with our first recipe, which I call the simple starter brew. It's perfect if you're new to this because it uses easy-to-find ingredients and the process is incredibly simple. This is a classic aerobic or oxygenated method. Here's what you'll need for a 5-gallon batch. First, grab about 2 large handfuls of your best finished compost. Next, add 1 large handful of healthy garden soil to introduce some native microbes. Then, a handful of straw, which gives fungi a great surface to grow on. And for food, about 1 cup of fish emulsion. A cup of liquid seaweed is a fantastic addition here for extra minerals and fungal food. The process is basically like making a giant tea bag. First, put your solid ingredients, the compost, soil, and straw, into your mesh bag. Fill your 5-gallon bucket with that non-chlorinated water. Pour the liquid fish emulsion directly into the water and give it a quick stir. Submerge the mesh bag in the water and tie it to the handle so it hangs in the middle. Drop the air stone from your aquarium pump into the bottom of the bucket and turn it on. You want to see a nice steady stream of bubbles. This aeration is critical. It gives those beneficial microbes the oxygen they need to multiply like crazy. Let this brew for about 36 hours. A shady spot in the spring or fall, somewhere around 68 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit, is perfect. You'll know it's ready when it has a rich, earthy, slightly sweet smell and a frothy foam on top. That foam is a beautiful sign of high microbial activity. And that's our first recipe. By the way, if you're finding this helpful and are excited to make your own, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and ensures you won't miss more garden secrets just like this. Okay, on to recipe number 2. So, what if you don't have a great compost pile yet, or you want to make a tea with a specific nutritional punch? I've got you. Our second recipe uses no compost at all. This is a plant-powered ferment, and we'll be using special dynamic accumulator plants to make a nutrient-dense tea. For this recipe, our stars are comfrey and stinging nettle. Both are powerhouse plants with deep roots that pull up a ton of nutrients and trace minerals from the soil. Here's what you need. A bucket filled about halfway with chopped comfrey, or stinging nettle leaves, or a mix of both. Nettle is high in nitrogen, and comfrey is rich in potassium, and enough non-chlorinated water to cover the leaves. This is an anaerobic fermentation, which is a fancy way of saying it doesn't need an air pump. Start by gathering your leaves, and please wear gloves when you handle stinging nettles. Chop them up coarsely and toss them in your bucket. Fill the bucket with just enough non-chlorinated water to cover the plant material. Cover the bucket with a cloth or a loose-fitting lid to keep pests out, but let fermentation gases escape. Now, stick the bucket in a shady, out-of-the-way spot and let it ferment for 3 to 10 days. Give it a good stir once a day. A word of warning, this stuff will get really smelly, and I mean it. That's totally normal and a sign that it's working. The smell is the plant material breaking down into potent, water-soluble nutrients. Once the crazy bubbling subsides and the smell mellows just a bit, it's ready. Just strain out the slimy plant material and your tea is ready to use. Okay, for those of you who want to take your soil life to the absolute next level, this one's for you. This is the high-octane microbial brew. We're focusing on creating the highest possible density and diversity of microbes by giving them the perfect 5-star meal. For this premium brew, here's what you'll need: 2 cups of the highest quality compost you have. I really recommend using vermicompost, worm castings, for this one. They're a superior microbial inoculant. 1 tablespoon of unsulfured blackstrap molasses to feed the bacteria. 1 tablespoon of liquid kelp fertilizer as our main fungal food. And finally, 1 teaspoon of liquid fish fertilizer for an extra hit of nitrogen and complex nutrients. The process is a lot like our first aerated brew, but we're being super intentional with our ingredients to cultivate a perfectly balanced soil food web. First, a pro tip: dissolve your molasses in a little warm water before adding it to the bucket. This helps it mix in evenly instead of just sinking to the bottom. Place your 2 cups of premium worm castings into the mesh bag. Fill your 5-gallon bucket with non-chlorinated water. Then add the dissolved molasses, liquid kelp, and liquid fish fertilizer. Submerge your tea bag, drop in your air stone, and let the bubbles go to work. Brew this for 24 to 48 hours. Because you're providing such a rich, balanced diet, the microbial populations are going to explode. The molasses fuels a bacterial bloom, while the kelp and fish encourage the growth of essential fungal networks. What you're creating is a concentrated, living liquid, perfectly designed to bring your soil to life. Now that you've brewed this liquid gold, how do you use it for the best results? You'll want to use your tea right after it's done brewing. That's when the microbial populations are at their absolute peak and ready to get to work. There are 2 great ways to apply it. The first is a soil drench. For this, you should dilute your compost tea. A ratio of 1 part tea to 10 parts water is a great starting point, especially for that potent, smelly plant ferment. Just pour the diluted mix onto the soil around the base of your plants and give the root zone a thorough soaking. This directly inoculates the soil and feeds the roots. The second method is a foliar spray. For this, you have to strain your tea really well, through cheesecloth or an old t-shirt, so you don't clog your sprayer. Dilute it at the same 1:10 ratio and spray it directly on the leaves. This is fantastic because it covers the leaf surfaces with good microbes, which can help outcompete and suppress pathogens that cause fungal diseases like powdery mildew. For both methods, the best time to apply your tea is in the cool of the early morning or late evening. This gives the microbes a chance to settle in without being blasted by the hot sun and harsh UV rays. By brewing your own compost tea, you're becoming a biologist for your own backyard. You're moving beyond just feeding your plants and are now cultivating a resilient, living ecosystem. You're building healthier soil, which means better nutrient cycling, improved water retention, and stronger, more disease-resistant plants. And as you've seen, it's not some complicated process reserved for experts. It's about working with nature, using simple ingredients to foster the powerful, invisible life that is the true secret to a thriving garden. If you found this helpful, give this video a like and subscribe for more secrets from the garden. Now I want to hear from you. What are your favorite compost tea recipes or ingredients? Drop them in the comments below. Let's all learn from each other. Now get out there and start brewing.